states reporting more new cases than ever before. In Florida, the death toll now surpassing 3,000. More than half of the new cases there, people under 35. The governor acknowledging this isn't just about more testing. Hospitalizations on the rise in 17 states. In Arizona, ICUs nearing capacity. The White House tonight saying they are now preparing for a second wave. And President Trump, at his first campaign rally since the pandemic, the racist term he used to describe the virus. And after he said he wanted to slow down COVID-19 testing in America, what his aides are saying tonight. The ABC News exclusive just hours from now. Martha Raddatz with John Bolton on his explosive new book, pressing him on what he called possible obstruction of justice inside the White House. A federal judge saying he may have disclosed classified information. The president attacking Bolton. Tonight, Democrats say they'll be watching closely. Also developing tonight, Attorney General William Barr under fire after the abrupt removal of one of the nation's top federal prosecutors whose office was investigating allies of the president. Tonight calls for the Attorney General's removal. The deadly shooting spree in Minneapolis. 1 killed, 11 wounded in the crossfire. And tonight, the manhunt for at least 2 suspects. The protest zone killing in Seattle. A 19-year-old fatally shot inside a 6-block area protesters seized from police. Authorities blocked from entering the crime scene. The severe storm danger right now, a line of extreme weather stretching from the plains into the Midwest. And the very special first Father's Day, separated from his wife because of COVID, but unwilling to leave her side. Tonight, his first moments with his newborn.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight.
Good evening and happy Father's Day. I'm Whit Johnson, in for Tom Yamas. We begin tonight with startling new evidence that America's fight against the coronavirus is far from over, with 11 states reporting record numbers of new cases this weekend. In Florida, more than 3,000 people have now died from COVID-19, with more than 3,000 new cases in each of the last 4 days. The governor no longer blaming the surge on testing alone. Hospitalizations tonight on the rise in 17 states, including in Arizona, where there are growing concerns about meeting the demands in hospital ICUs. At the same time, President Trump making headlines at his campaign rally in Tulsa, telling supporters he wants to slow down testing for the virus. It all comes as the U.S. approaches another grim milestone, nearly 120,000 lives lost to COVID-19. ABC's Victor Oquendo leading us off in Miami.
Tonight, doctors sounding the alarm over the dangerous surge of the coronavirus.
COVID-19 cases are spreading like wildfire in states like Florida, Arizona, and Texas.
The White House saying it's now preparing for a second wave just in case, stockpiling supplies. But this wave is getting worse. 11 states setting new records this weekend. And for the first time since May 1st, more than 30,000 new infections nationwide in each of the past 2 days. Hospitalizations now increasing in 17 states, including Florida, a state that opened early.
I don't feel like people are doing enough of a job of keeping social distancing and keeping masks on their face. People are getting a little bit more tired of wearing these masks, but this is not the time to do that.
The virus claiming more than 3,100 lives in Florida alone. More than half of all reported cases on Saturday were under the age of 35. Florida's governor attributed the increase to more testing, now admitting there's more to it.
That's an indication certainly in that age group, that you're seeing more transmission in the community. It's not purely just a function of the fact that they're testing more.
While younger people may not be getting as sick, they may be a danger to others.
We're starting to see these asymptomatic spreaders passing it along to their family members, their parents and their grandparents, who are definitely more likely to get sick as opposed to a younger, healthier individual.
In Arizona, drivers lining up to get tested. ICUs are at 85% capacity, and a similar situation in nearby El Centro, California.
It's constant suffering and death and dying and going on to the next one and doing your best, doing everything that you went to school for. And sometimes everything you do is just not enough.
The virus taking a devastating toll on this family in Los Angeles, desperate for a lung to save their mother after already losing their father and grandmother.
We never ate out. We didn't touch anything. We always sanitized everything. But, my whole family got it. It's serious. This virus is no joke. It's no joke at all.
Just devastating for so many families. Victor Oquendo joining us now from Miami. And Victor, several cities are cracking down on their own, making masks mandatory despite a lack of a statewide order.
That's right, Whit. Florida's governor does not want to issue a statewide mask requirement, so local officials are taking the lead. Some of the biggest cities in the state, like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Orlando, they all have their own mask orders. And as cases continue to rise, we'll see if others follow suit. Palm Beach set to vote on masks later this week. Whit?
We're seeing more of that across the country. Victor, thank you. Now to that campaign rally in Tulsa, President Trump's first since the pandemic began. The president spending Father's Day at the golf course after last night's crowd fell far short of capacity. This as a new ABC News poll shows 58% of Americans disapprove of how he's handled the coronavirus response. And while the president did not address race and justice in the nearly 2 hours of remarks, he did raise eyebrows with what he said about testing for the virus. ABC's Rachel Scott in Tulsa again tonight.
Tonight, allies are rushing to the president's defense after his rocky campaign relaunch, where he downplayed the risk of the coronavirus, calling it by a racist name, telling supporters he asked to scale back testing.
When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
Today, White House trade advisor Peter Navarro suggested the president was joking.
You know, it was tongue-in-cheek. Come on now. That was tongue-in-cheek.
But the president has complained the number of cases in the country makes the U.S. look bad.
That's probably the downside of having good testing, is you find a lot of cases.
And he was furious. It became public that 6 members of his own advance team, including 2 Secret Service agents, tested positive for COVID-19 ahead of his comeback rally. The campaign said more than 1 million people requested tickets online, waiving liability if they contracted the virus. Do you plan to wear a mask inside?
I have a mask and I do not plan to wear it.
But the crowd was smaller than expected after the president promised a packed house.
We've never had an empty seat, and we certainly won't in Oklahoma.
Tulsa's fire department says only 1/3 of the arena was full, and the campaign canceled the president's scheduled remarks to an overflow outdoor crowd. And though the police department says demonstrators were overwhelmingly peaceful, the Trump campaign blamed the turnout on protesters.
There were protesters who blocked the bags, and so we saw that have an impact in terms of people coming to the rally.
Rachel Scott joining us now from Tulsa. And Rachel, health officials in Oklahoma, where the virus is on the rise, are urging people who have attended large-scale gatherings in recent weeks, like that rally, to get tested. And the president's campaign saying there will be more rallies.
That's exactly right, Whit. The president said he feels like his campaign lost momentum during the pandemic. He's feeling a sense of urgency to get back out in front of his supporters. This week, the president will head to Phoenix, where local officials are requiring all residents to wear a face mask, though it is unlikely the president will do so. Whit?
Rachel Scott, our thanks to you tonight. Next, here, the ABC News exclusive, now just hours away, are Martha Raddatz sitting down with former National Security Advisor John Bolton, pressing him on damning new allegations against President Trump in his new book, and why he is going public now. One thing is clear: the president's allies and his enemies will all be watching very closely. Here's our chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz.
Tonight, in just hours, the full story of John Bolton's explosive new book. Bolton, who served President Trump longer than any of his national security advisors, saying he was deeply disturbed by Trump's actions in the White House.
You also used the phrase in the book that Trump's pattern looked like obstruction of justice as a way of life, which we couldn't accept. Obstruction of justice as a way of life?
Look, these were things that I could see some evidence of, and they bothered me greatly. I talked to the Attorney General about them. I talked to the counsel to the President about them. I've talked to other members of the Cabinet about them and relayed my concerns, and they were very much on my mind.
A federal judge refusing the Justice Department's request to block the memoir in the room where it happened, although the judge admonishing the former National Security Advisor for likely publishing classified materials, a claim Bolton disputes. The book, being released Tuesday, accuses the president of being erratic, irrational, and foolish.
I don't think he's fit for office. I don't think he has the competence to carry out the job. There really isn't any guiding principle that I was able to discern other than what's good for Donald Trump's reelection.
President Trump blasting Bolton, saying he broke the law and will pay a big price in possible losses of book profits and potential criminal charges. Today, Democrats and Republicans questioned why Bolton never sought to testify in House impeachment hearings.
For $29.95, he can monetize his national security clearance, but under oath, he would have had an opportunity to answer questions and not just make assertions.
But now, some Democrats say they will investigate any further allegations of wrongdoing raised in the book.
I don't think we should wait if we conclude that there are important things that he says that need to be exposed to the public. The public needs to know exactly what they have in this president.
What is also clear from the interview with John Bolton is that he wanted that book out before the election. Whit?
Martha, thank you. And a reminder, you can see Martha Raddatz in that exclusive interview with John Bolton and the explosive allegations he's making against the president in an ABC News special tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Next tonight, top Democrats demanding answers from Attorney General William Barr after he initiated a public showdown with one of the nation's top federal prosecutors. He was leading an office investigating members of the president's inner circle. Tonight, that U.S. attorney out of a job. ABC's Trevor Ault with the fallout from New York.
Tonight, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee saying Attorney General William Barr deserves to be impeached after the abrupt firing of the nation's most powerful U.S. attorney.
We've seen a pattern of the president opposing, of Barr corruptly impeding all these investigations. So this is just more of the same.
Democrats now vowing to investigate whether the decision to remove Jeffrey Berman was politically motivated. Sources tell ABC News the president has been pushing to get Berman out for months, the attorney general even telling him to resign.
I'm just here to do my job.
But Berman refused, leading to that public standoff with Barr, ending only when the AG asked the president to step in and fire him.
I don't get involved. I just don't get involved. But the president has to sign a document or, I guess, give it the okay.
Berman's New York office had already sent the president's former fixer Michael Cohen to prison and has been investigating his personal attorney Rudy Giuliani for months. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton telling Martha Raddatz President Trump told Turkey's President Erdogan in December of 2018 he'd intervene in the office's investigation into a state-owned Turkish bank.
The president said to Erdogan at one point, look, those prosecutors in New York are Obama people. Wait till I get my people in, and then we'll take care of this. And I thought to myself, and I'm a Department of Justice alumnus myself, I've never heard any president say anything like that.
Whatever was said to Erdogan, Halkbank was indicted last fall for fraud, money laundering, and sanctions violations after a negotiated settlement fell apart. Berman, a registered Republican and a Trump donor, was appointed by the Trump administration and left only after being assured his office was in the hands of his deputy, Audrey Strauss, promising she and the staff would protect the district's integrity and independence.
Trevor Ault joining us now from outside the Southern District Courthouse. And Trevor, Berman's deputy, Audrey Strauss, who you just mentioned there, will likely serve in an interim capacity until the Senate approves the president's nominee. But Trump ally Senator Lindsey Graham has indicated he won't proceed with his nomination.
Well, that's right, Whit. So Senator Graham says he's going to honor what's known as a blue slip rule. It means a nominee can't advance unless they have the approval from the two senators from the state of the nomination. And already, both senators here in New York have called on the president's nominee, Jay Clayton, to withdraw his name from consideration. Whit?
Fast-moving developments, Trevor. Thank you. Now to Minneapolis, a city that remains on edge after the death of George Floyd, now rocked by a night of violence. At least 11 people shot. And tonight, the manhunt for multiple gunmen. Here's ABC's Janae Norman.
They need an ambulance right now! Tonight, an urgent search for the gunman behind a deadly shooting spree in Minneapolis.
Those people down on the ground, I hope they're alive, man.
Witnesses say it was a shootout on the street outside busy bars and restaurants overnight. Innocent people caught in the crossfire.
Inches from my head, it, bullet shot here through, both these windows here. Ricocheted off the door frame inside of the restaurant here and started bouncing around in here. I think there's a broken glass up there and over here. We found a few